Hello, my name is Bill Haley, and this is part of my 3-minute introduction series into Haley 2024 The Movement's Government Reform Ideas. This one's going to be about fighting federal control. It's very hard to get to the full CRA structure when the federal government is so intertwined with so much state power. So what we want to do is to take and push federal government only into the federal authority, which is foreign policy basically, military and the like, and get them out of so much other stuff. So I have 12 proposed amendments that are very powerful amendments that go in that direction. So let's go over it. I have a 3-minute introduction to every one of these proposed amendments. This is one's number 11. This one's a good one. The Attorney General of every state will make up a board overseeing the federal office of inspectors generals. So we have the office of Inspector General out there. We don't want the president to be over top of that because you are having the federal government, the leader of the federal government, the executive department, overseeing the federal government, the executive department. We need to go on the outside. The states made up the federal government. So the Attorney General of every state will make up a 50-person board overseeing the Inspector Generals. So this board will create their own investigative agencies, sort of like the FBI, but it'd be a federal investigation body, but it'd be controlled by the state attorneys general. And they'll have their own prosecutors. So the inspector general, sometimes they don't have prosecutable abilities, but they'll have their own prosecutors within this branch. So it's not going to be the U.S. Department of Justice doing this. They'll have their own prosecutors, own system. Okay, that's the end of it. Let me read that again. The Attorney General of every state will make up a board overseeing the federal office of Inspector Generals. This board will create their own investigative agencies and their own prosecutors. So their own FBI, their own Justice Department, controlled by the 50. The 50 can have their own little hierarchy where they vote to create their own little hierarchy, so we have a system there. Let's do a couple notes. This is needed so a separate body versus itself can hold accountable the federal government officials, thus removing the FBI and the Justice Department from this responsibility. There's a lot of conflict of interest in that, a tremendous amount of conflict of interest. If you have a prosecutor over in Hawaii or Idaho, they go to Washington, D.C., there's not going to be so much conflict of interest. You have the Justice Department in Washington, D.C., there's a lot of conflict of interest all over the place. You have a lot more spread out, a lot more people to pick from, so a lot less conflicts of interest. You can have a lot more to pick from. Okay, next note. This will minimize conflict of interest. Just talked about that. Next note. A White House, Justice Department, or other agency cannot properly function when members are under investigation because significant barriers to communications and collaborations are present. When there is an investigation going on, sometimes you can't talk to each other. Well, they need to talk to each other. The president needs to talk to the attorney general. How many times have we heard that President Trump talked to his attorney general Barr or Sessions, and that was illegal because it was under investigation? Well, they can't do that. They need to do this quickly. They need to do it reliably, and they need to have a separate body doing it. Conflicts of interest, this will help solve some of that conflict of interest. And it gives the states a lot more control over the federal government as well, holding them accountable. So keep on looking around my website at haley2024.org. Thanks a lot.